Have you all thought about what your perfect week looks like? I actually got this idea from Bible class yesterday. And one of the questions that was asked during our Bible class was about, do y'all know what heaven's going to look like? Somebody said, do you know what heaven's going to look like? And asked somebody to describe what heaven was going to look like. I was thinking about this, like, heaven is probably going to be perfect, right? It's probably going to be perfect. Now, you might not be a faith based person watching this, but I am. So you have to deal with that sometimes. But I believe that there's going to be a heaven. And I believe that it's going to be exactly the way that God designed for it to be. It's going to be perfect. Now, if you ask a kid what heaven is going to be like, a kid might say, what they might say, up there in the clouds. They might add some things that the movies add, right? They might add what they got, like Hercules and Zeus. They might add, what did some kids tell me yesterday? No pain, right? No sickness. They might add, it's going to be streets paved with gold. If they heard a Bible study teacher, they may hear that, right? They may say there's going to be streets paved with gold. We don't know what heaven's going to be like, but we do know this. We know that it's going to be perfect. This is the real estate training. If you got to design your perfect week, what would it look like? Have you ever thought about that? What would your perfect week look like? What would it look like? Anybody thought about this? Give me some elements of your perfect week. Go for it, Tawana.
A
Go for it.
perfect week would be getting one solid good lead every single day. One that you can work and it's good and it's all the way through.
So a good lead that you can wholesale or keep as a rental property, that would be good. Who else wants to go?
I think one of the mixers we came to, you had talked about you had a week where you started a lead, you closed on it, and were able to get a wholesale buy in that same week. I think that to me is a perfect week. If I could do something like, obviously it might not happen all the time, but to me, if I'm thinking shooting for the stars, and then if you don't get it, at least you're in the sky. Get a start with a week like a Monday with a potential buy, close like Wednesday, fund it, and then have it already flipped and sold to another wholesaler by the end of the week. That to me is a perfect week.
Now, I want to challenge you all on this. What is happening right now is what happens to me as well. We are focusing on the result, but we're not focusing on the work. So when we talk about a perfect week, I want y'all to think about it differently. What would you be doing, right? What would your activities be? So that's what we're going to focus on today. The result might be I got a lead, or I got a deal closed, or I got a check. I want you to tell me what your perfect week would be. What would your work be? What would the actions be that you're taking? The results come from the work, right? If I go fishing today and I throw a line in the water and the water has bait on it, y'all understand that I'm probably going to catch something. Now, somebody might say, no, I've been fishing before and I didn't catch anything the whole day. Let's change it. If I go fishing and I do like my daddy does, my daddy watch these sometime. If I go fishing and I do like my daddy does, and I take 10 poles with me, and I put 10 baits, 10 lines in the water, and I put them in the water, do y'all think I'm going to catch something? Did I increase my likelihood of catching something? Now, if you like my daddy, sometimes they all get bit at the same time and all the lines get tangled, and then we lose all the fish. But something bit. Now, somebody's still being stubborn. Hey, y'all, if you do something illegal, which we are not advertising, but if you go to the lake, and you take a pump and you empty all the water out of the lake, okay, because that's illegal, by the way. But if you go and you empty the pond to get the fish, that would be difficult. But if you go and do that, do you think you're going to catch some fish? If it's fish in there, you will catch some fish. So for the people that are focusing on the results, that's the end game, right? We need to focus on the work, like getting to the pond. We need to focus on throwing the line in the water, right? These are things that we can control. We need to focus on the work. So, some of y'all know this, but as a real estate investor, and for those of you that have done our 90-day challenge before or have thought about it, this is a great time to reach out to us, get involved in the 90-day challenge. But with the 90-day challenge, we encourage you just to do 5 things. And because we have people in the room, I'm going to challenge y'all. What's the 5 things? What's the 5 things? We're going to give it away before we log off of Facebook. What are the 5 things that we encourage real estate investors to do on a daily basis? Talk to another member of the group, right? Talk to another member of the group, chat with them, call them, text them, doesn't really matter, but you're communicating. We encourage you most of all to make offers, right? You got to be making offers. You got to be talking to sellers, talking to people who own property. And you have to have those leads to communicate with. We have a couple of other things that we encourage you to do over the course of the 90-day challenge. But when we talk about designing your perfect week, because we want to get into this, I want you to think about on a daily basis, like scheduling your week, just like your employer would if you were working at McDonald's. Your employer would tell you what time to come in. They would tell you what to be doing during those times. They would tell you what breaks to take, when to take them, and shoot, they might even tell you what you can and can't do on your break. They would tell you when you got to come back from break. Your perfect day would include when you go home. They would tell you when you can go home. Another one, your perfect day is also going to include training. Yes, McDonald's still trains their employees. They probably have some of the best training on the planet, right? They're going to teach you how to use the machine. They're going to tell you exactly what to do all day, every day. And then you repeat it the next day. So when we talk about designing your perfect week for health, wealth, and growth, I want you all to be able to create a sample of this for yourself. Now, a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, we don't like this. And especially the folks who are in our group or people who message me all the time about how do I get more deals? How do I get more real estate traction? We do this for the time freedom, right? We want to come to work when we feel like it. We want to take vacation when we feel like it. That comes later, right? That comes later. You should be designing your week just like an employer would if you work for them. What is important to you? Your week is designed based on what's important to you. If you look at your time and where it's going, that's what's important to you. Is your health in the design of your week every day? Right? Do you have something that you're doing for your health every day? Is your wealth important to you? If your wealth is important to you, then that should be in your perfect week design every day. Is your family important to you? Guys, I'm talking to y'all because y'all know how we can be about stuff. We just want to make money, right? If your family is important to you, then your family should be in your design every day, right? And if you design this perfect week with your wealth, your health, your family involved, if your church, that kind of stuff is involved, you can really make some great progress towards your goals. And we're going to look at a template for this right now. All right, so here's what we have. This is probably the most important thing. So what I did is in the top right corner, I just put what my yearly priorities are. Your priorities might be different. And for those of you who've been following me for a while, you may have noticed I used to have 10 or 15 priorities. Like I used to set a bunch of goals. Now I usually only set 3. What I do is I have what my priority is for the year. So that's what I'm shooting for the year. And then I put that in the top. That stays the same every week. If y'all don't know, I'm trying to lose 100 pounds. Everybody in here should know that because that's a big priority for mine. I don't really share my income goal very much because it discourages people. But my goal is to make 100K a month of revenue. And this is in my business. So my rentals, obviously, we make $6 or $7 million a year. right now I'm focusing heavily on my business, which I call that flips, wholesales, my education company, right? So I'm trying to consistently make 100K a month in my real estate business. Some months we make 300K, some months we make 20K. So I'm trying to get it to where we're consistently closing on 100K in wholesale flips or education. I'm consulting, coaching people, that sort of thing. So that's my second priority. And I will say that's a far second priority to me right now over number one, which is to lose 100 pounds and get my health right this year. And then number three, quality time with family. So I have my three priorities at the top. And then I have my actual schedule, Sunday to Saturday, right here. When I'm telling somebody in a coaching session, if I'm telling you need to have a schedule, I do this for me. And I realize that at this stage in my business, I really need to be in my office, right? I have project managers, I have salespeople that work for me. I should be managing them and working on my business, not working in it, because I have people that are getting a salary to work in it. So, yes, I plan my Sunday. I plan my Sunday. And I'm not going to go line by line because I don't want y'all judging me. But Sunday is planned. Those of you all who know, yes, I'm a deacon at my church and I'm there every week, right? That's part of my schedule. Every Sunday, my family eats together. Every Sunday, that's just what we do. We don't have a Sunday where we don't do it. So in my perfect week, I've got some time for me on Sundays too. I don't really work on Sundays. Now, Sundays at 7 o'clock, I do plan. Okay. And a lot of these things stay the same. They don't change around. But I have this little book, like a little binder here. And I sit down with this, and I sit down with my wife too, planning the week, like what's important, what's priorities, what do I know if fire is coming? Is it a payroll week? And I have goals for the week that affect this perfect week. And so if you look at the very top of this plan, I have time that's called deep work or sales time. That means that I'm only allowed to work on stuff that is a priority for the week. If it's hiring, it might be dispositions, it might be acquisitions. I might be trying to sell something or buy something, or I might be looking for an employee. I might be like selling, because in the beginning parts of the month, like from the 1st to the 10th, I try to sell a lot. Like I try to find enough deals to keep my month full. Especially during the first probably 15 days of the month, I'm sales heavy. Like I'm looking for my next deal, my next opportunity. Why? Because if I don't flip, I got people who on payroll, they don't get paid. So we have to find enough deals to make sure the business stays working. So for you, your goal for the week might be something different. Your goals for the week might just be acquisitions at this point. Like you might just be looking for a contract. Your goal for the week might just be make my 5 calls, make my 3 offers a day. Like that might just be the week. Then what you do is you make sure that in your week, all of those things are addressed. Now, I believe that you address them every day. I don't believe in just working once a week. I think it's very hard to do that. So you'll notice that for every single day in my perfect week, everything is addressed. My weight loss is addressed, my revenue is addressed, and my time with my family is addressed. Helping with my kids is there. So I'm definitely the dad that's going to take my daughter to school or put her on the bus. Then I have work, like deep work time, where you cannot reach me unless it's related to acquisitions, dispositions, unless it's related to sales. You shouldn't be able to get me on the phone during deep work time. Now, if I'm prospecting, if I'm looking for a client, if I'm trying to help a client, those are examples of deep work. Then we have our coaching call on Mondays. We have social media work time. So what we would do is we would have a work session. We would have a study group where we would all just sit in the same room and be writing on our computer. Y'all know what that is? That's called accountability. So accountability for me helps me like get stuff done sometimes. So at 1 p.m. on Monday, I meet with my social media coach. We sit down and we go over a report of all of my posts, how many views they got. He gives me ideas for future posts. And sometimes we actually record content during the 1 p.m. time with my social media guy. That is a hack to getting stuff done. I try to record content on these Monday sessions. When we get in here, I record content in these sessions. And then my team posts that content over the course of the week. I come to this session because it's a time on my calendar for me to record content. It's another way of pairing something that I really need to do with something that I really enjoy doing. I love meeting with y'all. It holds me accountable. Sometimes that way you're holding yourself accountable to what you said you would do. I have time for sales calls with my sales employees. I have time to train my VAs. Schedule 30 minutes, 20 minutes where you're going over example calls, examples of how you want them to do things. Like that should be on your schedule. I have time where I meet with my property management team as well. So that team works really good independently. So we usually have a 30-minute call on a weekly basis where we go over vacancies, maintenance and repairs on the properties, outstanding balances, the collections from people that haven't paid, stuff like that. But that's my Monday. And so you all have a copy of this now. You can click file and make a copy, and you can put your own schedule in and just design your perfect week. I don't like working after 5 o'clock. Now, my wife will say sometimes it looks like I'm working after 5 o'clock because I'll take calls or I do what most entrepreneurs trying to make money do. If a customer calls me, I'm trying to close the deal. But usually my day is going to end around 5 or 6 o'clock. I'm trying to do that. On Thursdays, I'm trying to have my day end at 2 o'clock. Okay. Usually I'm trying to go do something for me on Tuesdays. On Tuesdays, pretty much every week, I go to lunch with my wife. People talk about date nights. They talk about how to treat your spouse. Y'all, on Tuesday, every week on my calendar, I'm pretty much at lunch with my wife. That's pretty much what I do. When it's on your schedule, it's more likely to get done. I will say that in general about my whole calendar is that I try to stick to it. And when I stick to it, it feels so good. When I need to be flexible, I'm also flexible. And it's like my diet. When I stick to it, it feels so good. And when I get off track, I need to go back and have a plan and say, this is what I told myself I would do. So for you, take a look at your day right now. What are your 3 priorities right now? Once you have your 3 priorities, design your perfect day. You can start with a day if you don't want to do a week, because this is a lot. And I edit this all the time. So this is not something I come up with willy-nilly. But look at your week and put the times in there specific for you. You might not want to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You might be comfortable with working later in the evening. Like you might be okay with change the times and then put in your work, because your work might be something different based on your goals. Like for most of you, you probably are doing mostly acquisitions right now. If you have contracts, you're going to add dispositions to your schedule. But for most of you, you're probably talking to sellers, driving for dollars, making coaching calls, calling your leads if you're paying for leads. Like you're probably doing that stuff more than you're doing any of the leadership stuff, just based on where you're at in your business. I really would like for you to talk to me about your schedule. Is this something you think would be helpful for you to do? If it's too much, y'all, just start with one day. Just start with your perfect day. And notice that nothing in here is about the results. Nothing in here is about whether I get deals or not, or even my revenue goal. Y'all will notice I didn't spend a lot of time talking about 100K a month, because I know that if I'm doing the work, the revenue will follow the work. The revenue does not come because I say I want the revenue. The revenue follows the work. So I need to focus on how many sellers did I talk to? How many investors did I talk to? How many people did I hire? How did I treat the people that I hired? Did I train the people that I hired? These are things that I need to focus on because that work is what produces the results that I'm looking for. Is this something you all will put into place? For those of you that are still on the job, yes, include your job because you're working right now. So if you go to work at 8 o'clock, you can't be a real estate investor at 8 o'clock. You have to do what you want to do for your schedule. But yes, put your job on there. So if you got to be to work at 8 o'clock and you don't get off till 5, that's your schedule. If you get breaks at work where you can get on this call, put that in your schedule. Y'all see on my schedule, I have, if you look at Tuesday at 10, I have PD. Y'all know what PD is? PD is professional development. So every Tuesday at 10 o'clock, I'm in a mastermind where I'm learning from Matt Larson. He's a real estate investor. On Wednesday, I have it on my schedule again. At 12 p.m., I have a 1-hour call where I'm learning from Carlos Reyes. He's a investor who owns multiple businesses. I'm in one of his masterminds. And then on Thursdays at 1 p.m., I call PD professional development. So absolutely, like if you can fit that into your middle of your work, that's a good thing. If you want to make some seller calls in the middle of your work, put that in your schedule. But if you cannot work or do your real estate investment activities until after work, that's how we all started. That's how I started. Or if you have a commute in the morning, that's how I started. Is I had a commute in the morning and that was my PD. That was when I listened to a podcast. And I still do that. These 5 to 7 a.m. workouts that I'm doing, that's what I'm doing. I'm listening to YouTube video or I'm listening to a podcast. Like I'm trying to grow and trying to learn new things as well. So you can multitask some of these time frames and do multiple things. So I'm listening to something that will help me grow. And that's what this is about. Your perfect week to help you grow your wealth, your health, and yourself, right? We didn't really talk about that much, but y'all, we got to be healthy too. I think this is a piece that I was missing for the last 5 years. And some of y'all already got habits. Y'all are teaching me how to do this, but that should be on your schedule as well. You don't want to give up on your health trying to pursue this money. Can you take action from this though? You got to take action. So even if you say you're just going to start with the morning, like your perfect morning, I'm just trying to make this simple. My perfect morning is I wake up at this time. I do this first. This is what I do. This is the first meal I have, whatever. Just start with that because I really think that this would help some of you that are trying to build new habits. This is time where y'all, the best thing that you can do, we talk about this a lot. I can be very busy all day and not productive at all. I hope y'all use something like this. It could be something a lot simpler. Like you could just make it a note on your app, on your phone, or you can use a calendar on your phone to do this. But I think the most important thing that I use this for is I do this every week, right? So you make an adjustment. If I don't like doing content creation on Friday afternoons, then I make a change the following week and I'll change the day that I do it. Or if I notice that the reason that my deep work time is in the morning every day is because I notice in the afternoon, I like talking to people in the afternoon. I like making phone calls in the afternoon. I like running errands in the afternoon. I like going to look at properties or shooting content, stuff like that in the afternoon. So most days, my deep work time is in the morning as much as possible. Because after my workout, I'm fresh. Like from 8:15 to 12, that's the perfect time a lot of times for me to be working. Now, what's the problem with that? For those of you doing acquisitions, if you cold calling, people don't answer the phone in the morning. So that's why it's great for me because I'm planning training for my team. But if you are cold calling or doing calls, usually if you start doing calls, you'll notice you get more leads in the afternoon, like after 12 o'clock. People pick up the phone more after 11-ish. If you call people at 8 in the morning, it doesn't really work as well. 8 and 9 in the morning, I don't really get a lot of answers. So just keep that in mind. I appreciate y'all for jumping on.